If the playground swings at night, don't watch it for too long. The park near my apartment was always empty past sunset. It wasn't because of crime or bad lighting, it was something else, something more subtle. The locals said the air changed there at night. It's the kind of place where silence feels too intentional, like the trees are holding their breath. I never paid much attention to it, until last week. I'd gone for a late walk to clear my head. I passed the rusted jungle gym and broken seesaw when I noticed one of the swings moving. Not just swaying in the breeze, but swinging back and forth. Deliberate, rhythmic, too smooth for wind. I should have walked away. I should have turned around and gone home. But I watched. And that was my first mistake. At first, I saw nothing unusual. Just the swing, moving. But then it slowed, not in the way it should, gradually losing momentum. It was like someone had put their foot down to stop it. And in the next second, it began moving again. But now it was higher, stronger, being pushed. And then I heard the chains creak. There was no one there. The swing next to it jerked suddenly, like someone had jumped on. It swung up high, stopped at its peak, and then vanished. Just gone, mid-air. I didn't run. I couldn't. My legs were locked in place as a cold pressure built behind me, like something was rising from the sandpit nearby. When I turned, the sandpit was gone. In its place was a deep, square hole, perfectly cut. I didn't see it dig itself. It was just there. Something was climbing out. Thin, childlike arms stretched up and grabbed the edge. Pale fingers with long nails. It didn't look human. It didn't even look alive. Its limbs bent wrong, too many joints, and its face was smooth, like a porcelain mask without features. But then it turned toward me, and I swear it smiled. Even with no mouth, I felt it smile. I finally snapped out of it and ran. I didn't stop until I was 3 blocks away. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep the night after either. The next time I passed the park in the day, the swing set was gone. No chains. No seats. Nothing. But that night, I heard them creaking again. Rules to survive the playground that watches you. 1. If the swings move after sunset, do not look at them. They're trying to catch your attention. 2. Never follow the sound of laughter at night in the park. The children laughing don't have mouths. 3. If you see the sandbox turn to a pit, close your eyes. What climbs out doesn't like being watched. 4. Don't return to the park within 3 days of seeing the swings move. It remembers who watched. 5. If your dreams start smelling like metal and sand, leave town. You've already started to sink. That night, I did dream. I didn't want to, but it came for me anyway. It began with the scent, metallic, coppery, sharp. Like the smell of blood in a dentist's office mixed with rusted tools. And then came the sand. Grit between my teeth, beneath my eyelids, packed in my ears. I stood in the middle of the playground, only it wasn't like the one near my apartment anymore. The colors had drained from everything. The grass was gray, the sky a heavy navy blue without stars. The playground was massive now, sprawling like a maze. The slides twisted down into dark pits. The seesaw was made of splintered bone, and the swings were full. Children sat on them. But not real children. Their heads lolled unnaturally, limbs hanging at strange angles. One of them turned to me, its eyes replaced with deep, black sockets that seemed to pulse. The skin stretched too tightly over its skull, like someone had tried to recreate a human face from memory and failed. It opened its mouth, and the voice that came out was mine. "Why did you watch?" I turned to run, but the ground gave way. I wasn't on grass anymore, I was knee-deep in sand, wet and heavy. It clung to me like hands. I struggled, pulled at my legs, but for every inch I gained, something beneath the surface pulled harder. And then I saw the fingers again. Small, bone-thin, reaching up from the sand around me. A dozen. Then more. Tiny hands clamped around my wrists, my ankles, my throat. A carousel spun in the distance, its music broken and slowed. And on it, riding like royalty, was her. The faceless girl from the pit. She wore a cracked porcelain mask now, painted with a child's smile. But even without eyes, I knew she was watching me. She raised one thin arm and pointed. The ground cracked beneath me and I fell. I woke up gasping, sitting upright in bed, soaked in sweat. But the smell didn't go away. That thick scent of iron and sand lingered in my nostrils like it had sunk into my lungs. I staggered to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and found a single grain of sand lodged in the corner of my eye. I dug it out, but there was more behind it. My eyes watered until I couldn't see. I didn't go to work. I didn't go outside. I sat at my window all day, watching the park in the distance. Watching the spot where the swing used to be. I thought I was safe. I hadn't gone back. I hadn't stepped near it. But last night, there was sand in my bed. This morning, it was in my shoes, on the floor, on the windowsill. The swing set is visible again now, but it's facing my apartment. There are no children in the park. Just one swing, moving gently in the wind that isn't there. I packed a bag. I'm leaving tonight. I don't know where I'll go, but I can't stay. I don't think I have much time. Because a few hours ago, I sneezed, and what came out wasn't dust. It was sand. It wasn't just sand anymore. When I wiped it from my upper lip, I felt it crumble like dry ash in my hand, but when I looked closer, it wasn't normal sand. It shimmered faintly under the light, almost like crushed glass or ground teeth. A sickly glint danced on each granule, and beneath that faint glimmer was something darker, something alive. It wriggled. Only for a second. I blinked, and the movement stopped, but the moment was enough. I dropped it and backed away from the sink, my legs weak beneath me. I checked every part of my apartment, trying to stay calm, but the sand was everywhere now, in the folds of my couch, in the seams of my clothes, behind picture frames, even inside the fridge. I opened a box of cereal and it poured out in a cascade of pale grit. It wasn't just following me anymore. It was claiming me. Then the phone rang. I hadn't heard it in days, and when I looked at the screen, there was no number, just static, pulsing like a heartbeat. Against all sense, I answered. For a moment, there was nothing. Then a child's voice, soft, hoarse, cracked, whispered a single word, sink. The line went dead, and so did every light in the room. I was plunged into silence, the kind of silence that swells with breath that isn't yours. I could hear movement, gentle shuffling, like footsteps dragging across sand. I turned, and my shadow wasn't mine anymore. It moved differently. It was taller now, hunched forward, watching me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the center of my living room with every light on, a knife in one hand and my packed bag by the door. But sleep doesn't care. It doesn't ask permission. When I finally blinked too long, I was back on the playground. Only this time, it wasn't empty. They surrounded me. Dozens of them. Children with skin too pale and limbs too long. Their eyes were hollow, but not blind. They saw me. They knew me. And as they opened their mouths to scream, sand poured from their throats. It filled the sky, the air, my lungs. I tried to run but my feet crumbled beneath me, turning to dust, to more sand. I fell, and the last thing I saw before I woke was her face again, closer now, her mask cracked and flaking, revealing the shifting black beneath. I awoke buried up to my neck. In my own bedroom. Sand everywhere. Piled high, grainy and heavy, pressing against my chest. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The window shattered with the wind, and from outside came the sound of the carousel again, playing that broken tune backwards. I screamed. No one heard. The sand moved like a tide, creeping higher toward my mouth, my nose. I could taste the metal again. And somewhere, just below my feet, I felt fingers curling around my ankles. That's when I knew. You don't sink into sand. You're pulled.